So so there was never a time where I felt like I was respected by my peers growing up. I can't think of a time where I authentically felt like even with friendships, like I struggled to make authentic friends. Like you'd bring someone to your yard, they'd see the way you live, they'd, yes, auntie, yeah, oh, what, like, stay over, all that stuff. But in school, they don't want to know you, or they're kind of snaking you or whatever. And there's nothing that I think that I could have done. Now that's your character. That's you. It's embedded. You don't know anything else other than wearing that mask.
Honestly, that was probably me. Like coming into school, I felt similar to you, where I feel like my peers just naturally aren't respecting me. But my approach was like, all right, I'm gonna make you respect me. Do you get me? So I'm the loudest. Do you get me? Or I'm causing mayhem in the school. Do you get me? So that was my approach. When really and truly, I'm dealing with the same thing you done. I just went about it.
I remember hearing very, very clearly, don't put the drugs in your plastic bag, because someone had called me and said, I'll link me around the corner. Put it down your trousers. Very, very audibly inside of me.
Boom. Welcome back to another episode of the Energizer Podcast. Energizer Podcast, a podcast that leaves you charged up.
Fully all the way.
All right, I'm here with the two hosts, as you know, myself, Ty.
The boy Tay.
Yeah. And without further ado, we got another guest. You know how we do. DJ Khaled. Introduce yourself, my bro.
Who you got today?
Yeah, my name is Amani Simpson.
Strong.
I'm a youth coach. I'm a filmmaker. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a child of God. I'm outside, man. I'm here to serve. You get me?
Yeah.
Nah, strong.
That's big.
Bro, you notice I'm going to say the same thing.
Everyone that comes on the podcast, they do bare different things.
Yeah,
That's
it's good, man.
man.
It's good, man.
That's good. Get your hands in bare different baskets.
So you said the last thing, and I also think is the most important thing as well, child of God. So talk to us a bit about your journey into religion.
That's why you're my boy, because man was going to go straight there. Do you get me?
Do you know what it is for me? I feel like like I'm on this earth for a reason. And, kind of being given a mission by the Most High to do something. And I think that's to love and serve and not to judge, and to be in environments and be light in that environment instead of like trying to make that environment like worse. And so, I feel like, just trying to be the person that I was created to be before I knew who I was. Yeah. And just constantly
deeper one.
Yeah. Just trying to constantly move closer to purpose. So that's what I'm on. You get me?
Yeah. So do you reckon in your relationship, building your relationship with God, that allowed you to get closer to your purpose? Or
1,000%.
Yeah.
So I know I'm skipping mad close, but truly we like to give a little bit of tasters of what the conversation could be. So when I was 21, I got stabbed 7 times and nearly died. And in the back of that ambulance, I had a conversation with God where I was just basically saying to him, like, number one, like, I hope this thing is real. And if you give me another chance, I'm going to live for you, and I'm going to steer young people away from darkness. And it was at that moment that I had this rush of energy and this adrenaline that just gave me a sense of purpose and a drive, and I survived. You get me? So I think it's because at that point at 21, I dedicated my life to God and tried to then work out what it is I actually believed, rather than looking at it from a religion perspective, but looking at it from a relationship perspective. I just kind of realized that there's a lot of things I've been taught in religion that was counter-intuitive to actually that one-on-one connection. And I remember sitting in church one day, and this pastor said, if Jesus was alive now, he wouldn't be sitting here. And I was like, what? And he's just like, he'd be out serving, he'd be with the man them. He might be in this environment, but he's not of that environment. Do you get me? So he'd be with the man them on the block, smoking weed, laughing and joking. But when the man them go to pass him the weed, he'd be like, no, I'm good, you don't. Or they wouldn't even do it because they know his essence. But that doesn't mean he can't be there and be light. So I was just like, I can follow that.
Do you know why I resonate with that fully, Because you see me, like, growing up, obviously mum went church and whatnot. You're kind of forced to go to church. When I'm young, I didn't really like church like that. Do you get me? So I fell out of it because it's like I'm going to church and I'm not really seeing anyone that I relate to down there. Do you get me? So I see from like the age of 10, probably up until like last year, I weren't really tapped in with God too much. And then I realised it's not really about religion, it's more about your relationship with God yourself. Do you get me? So then that's when man really started tapping in with God, like on a different level. I'm talking waking up in the morning, before I leave my room, I'm praying. Do you get me? Giving thanks, asking for some guidance, and then I'm rocking with my day. Do you get me? So And then as soon as I started doing that, it's like my life started moving in the right direction. And every time man tried to do my own thing, whether it's running my business or just having relationships with people, it's like it felt overwhelming when I'm trying to do it by myself. Do you get me? But the minute man rocked with God, it's like man can deal with this now. Do you get me?
It's a different,
leaning on my own
pattern.
understanding. Do you get me?
And I don't think everyone understands that because sometimes they feel like you have to go through someone else in order to get that. But I think when you got that direct relationship and you realize that, you know, the essence of what Christ came to do, well, what he did was to die and give us that direct connection to, you know, the greater things in life, and to just charge man up, you get me? And so if you're tapping into that source every single day directly without going through bare different mediators and stuff that's trying to help you get there, it's a direct energy source. And if I know how to tap into that on a day-to-day basis and I feel that on a day-to-day basis, then why wouldn't I make that a habit? You know, if you know that something is good for your vitality in your life and it gives you sense of peace, it gives you purpose, it gives you principles, and you know that what it was like before you had that energy in your life. Like once you tapped into that, you can't lose that.
You can't
I know where my life was before I gave my life to God. Do you get me? And so now where things are thriving and I feel blessed and life is in a place that I never thought it could be, I can only give glory to God for that. But equally make sure that I am trying to be the best version of myself and child of God that I can be in it. You get me? So
would you, jumping in, would you say that, obviously you mentioned you got stabbed 7 times as well. Would you say that that traumatic event caused the most change in your life?
That's a good question. I think that was like the icing on the cake. A lot of icing, but it was the icing on the cake, right? Because I'd already been through a lot of stuff up to that point. I'd already been like bullied in school. I'd already had moments where my relationship with my family had broken down. I'd already been to cunch. I'd already been kicked out of school. And at 16, I'd made a decision. And left school with no GCSEs and stuff. And I made a decision at 16 when I was in cunch that I didn't want to be that person anymore. So between 16 and 21, that's where I've like really made different choices and built the foundation of, I guess, the man that you see here today, like the habits, the sacrifices, the mindset, the ambition. Then when I got stabbed, what happened was basically, it was almost like being at, you know, a crossroads where you're able to kind of be like, rah, but if I get on this crud thing and go back down there, that's darkness. But actually, if you stay on what you're doing and you let people call you whatever they're gonna call you and say, rah, you should have done this and done this and da-da-da-da-da, you know, in the long run, it's gonna pay off dividends. So yeah, for me, I think there's a few points in my life where I've made conscious decisions, and that was like one of the later ones, because it's just the way life has been, innit?
That's why I say eyesight versus mindset, because eyesight's telling you, listen, I got touched, I'm touching you back, literally. That's how a lot of people think. But mindset's saying, cool, I know I got touched, but if I go down this route, I know there's greatness in my life, you get me? There's success over there, you get me? But it might hurt within that moment, people say, listen, he touched you, let's go and touch him back. 100%. It might touch your pride a little bit, but you're thinking on a mindset wave of, yo, if I don't, the trajectory of my life's gonna go in a different direction. You get me? So I rate that highly.
Thank you. I remember praying in the ambulance to smell my mom's perfume again. Very specific. My mom's got this perfume that used to get on my nerves because she was always spraying it in the car on the way to church, and you're just out here like dying of like
in the car.
But I just prayed, I want to smell that again. I want to have certain things that I can achieve. And I looked around in the hospital, and I looked at my loved ones, and I was just like, I've got a chance to be with these people. And where the doctor said everywhere I've been stabbed, I should have been dead or disabled, and I'm not. I was like, yo, like, I've got another chance. But then anger, and as you said, your eyesight is thinking, right, what people gonna call me a pussy, or like it's this and it's that, and I need to be on something. Even though that wasn't even my true nature. But anger and even the peer pressure of everyone's emotions. But then it's purpose, man. And I remember looking at my family and being like, I love these people. If someone was to come up and do something to my missus or my sister, my mum, my dad, my cousin, like, I'm gonna be devastated. And I'm the one that has because fundamentally the boys that stabbed me, they didn't know me. So it's me going to look for them. These men have gone on with their life. They've stabbed someone, they bored someone up, and they've gone on with their life. They don't know me. It's not a vendetta. Me getting back into that world, that's a choice. So I think, I'm not saying that it's a choice that everyone's going to make easily, because there's a lot of there's a lot of backwards and forwards and blood in some of the stuff that goes on road. But
100.
my situation was different. I got attacked rather than when I see you, it's on site type of thing. So yeah, but that was my choice. And I'm proud of it, man.
let me jump in, yeah, because this is a lot already. This is a lot, yeah. So going back to the start, I know you mentioned it at the Gen Z event. So shout out to the Gen Z club, man. Yeah, big them up, yeah. What was the lead up to that? Just so the viewers know, and obviously Tay wouldn't know either. So you've been stabbed 7 times. You're talking about the journey in the ambulance post stabbing, but what was the events that led up to that point?
Yeah, so I grew up in North London in Enfield, 2-parent home. Mum and dad are amazing people. I'm their miracle child, so they prayed hard for me. Mum was told she can't have children, etc. And then they had me, and it kind of just solidified life and stuff for them. And yeah, they spoilt me. Do you get me? And my parents tried to give me the best foundation that they could. But the thing is that the rest of the world wasn't on the same wavelength. So where my mum and dad are giving me a lot of nurture, when I've then gone to school, I haven't necessarily been met with that nurture. Do you get me? It's, and I've grown up in Enfield, you've got this road called the A10. And the A10 is like a big dual carriageway. On one side of the dual carriageway, you've got like the suburbs a bit more leafy. You got a few £1 million houses here and there, less crime. On the other side, you've got like your Edmontons, your Tottenham, not your Tottenham, your Ponders Ends, your that kind of. There's a little bit more kind of adversity and struggle on that side. So I'm living in the leafy side of the borough, but going to school in the harder side.
Right.
And in the leafy side of the borough, there's not many black kids. So I'm not seeing like, I guess, certain role models. Even though I've got my parents, I'm not seeing other people that I'm like, right, okay, cool. I've got a young man that his dad and his mum are doing the same thing. I'm one of few black kids. But then when I'm going into primary school, most of my peers are single parent homes, growing up in the blocks, their older brothers. And I think just due to human nature, they could probably sense the difference in me. You know, I remember I've got a story, like my mum and dad hired out a fire station for me. I love fire trucks. And so I must have put a little bit of money down. You know, I don't know, it probably wasn't a lot, but the fact that they thought about doing that for me would have separated me from my peers. And so I really struggled with that transition into primary school.
I was going to ask you, so how did you kind of fit into that school system then? Because obviously coming from your environment, your background, as you said, you're kind of nurtured. Do you get me? Do you have any siblings?
I've got a little sister.
Yeah, okay then. And you're the oldest as well, so you're the golden child. You get me? You're the first. You get me? So you're coming from this environment where you're kind of nurtured, and then you're going over here where there's no nurturing going on. Do you get me? It's you got to fend for yourself type of thing. So then how did you deal with that, where you've been dropped into the school now and you're not used to this environment, you're not used to the way that these kids operate? Do you get me? How did you kind of operate?
And by extension, quickly, is that what resulted in you being bullied as well?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say the bullying started, so a bit more context. I moved from one school that I'd gone to in nursery and reception and got to the school in year 1. So a lot of the kids that were in year 1 had already been there from nursery and reception and maybe had a few friendships, had a little bit of time to ease in. I maybe started in September in year 1 and was kind of like the new kid that comes in and it's like, oh, introduce yourself. And I'm probably a little bit timid because of the love and I guess the shelter that my parents had given me. I wasn't able to communicate very, very well. So I was probably, again, quite shy, and someone might have seen that vulnerability and in a class with lots of dynamics, probably picked up on that. So, you know, Amani, introduce yourself. Hi, my name's Amani. Nice to meet you guys. So, hey, talk up, man.
Speak up, dog.
You know what I'm saying? And all it takes then is for the class to laugh at you.
And then that's it. Everyone's on you.
And then,
you get me?
And now you're the
so
clown.
something small like that. And so I think that dynamic was, it was there, and it was probably made worse by the fact that I was probably doing too much as a young man as well, trying to make people like me. So I'm that person. If you think about like a crowd of or a group of people, you're that person that isn't necessarily the popular kid, and you're the last one. Like when you're playing football, and they're like, all right, cool, my team, I'm gonna choose you. You're the last person. No one wants Amani on this team because he can't kick ball. He's not fast. He's not this. You're that person.
How did that make you feel though, bro? Going back to like primary school days, how did that make you feel? Like when everyone's lined up there in the line and they're saying, they're picking Timothy, Jason, Stephen, and then Amani's the last one there on the line. How are you feeling in that situation?
Bro, it's heartbreaking, man. Because you can't. There's nothing that you can do to make people like you. You try, and you try to wear these masks and pretend to be something that you're not, in the hope that, you know, I'm gonna try this thing. That doesn't work. Next day I'm gonna come and try this thing. And there's nothing you can do. So it's devastating for you as a child that just wants friendship and just wants love and wants to be accepted. It's devastating. And essentially what I did is I internalized that. And it started to come out in my behavior, and it started to come out in the fact that I wouldn't communicate with my parents about how I was feeling.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're in a school system that at the time, again, wasn't very nurturing. So I'm in a space where, you know, maybe there's not many black teachers, or the policies aren't in the favor of black children. And like the first time I got excluded was in year 2, right? And I got excluded for kicking a girl. Yeah. Now I'll tell you the story because I think it's good for the context. So I was playing on my own in the playground, and this girl was like, I want to play with you. And I personally think she might have had a crush. You know, them little crushes thing. I want to play with you. And I was like, no, I don't want to play. I'm sitting on my ones playing with marbles. She picked up my marbles and dashed them out of the fence, random. Me in anger. Literally.
Hold a kick.
Literally.
Like, that's my marbles.
We did.
So my logic as a 6-year-old is to stand up and kick her. And I've been doing karate, so there's not even like, I've stood up and I've kicked her. You know what I'm saying? Trust me.
He's like, now's the time.
Hey, big up my cousin in the room.
Shout out Christian, man. Shout him out.
And so I'm here, and I've just stood up and I've kicked her. And I haven't even thought about the consequences or nothing. But what my mum since told me is that she was part of like the governing body and stuff of the school. And the week before, they changed the policy that if there was any violent offences, that child gets excluded. So imagine the week before they've been part of the policy change, and then the next week it's her son that is the first one getting excluded. And on top of that, it's like, I guess as you're going through this system, the system doesn't know how to nurture. Like, you're looking at the fact that you've got one teacher that you might have from year 1 to year 3. Then when you get that next teacher, that teacher's then, look out for Amani, he's the naughty kid, you know. That kid, he's rude. I didn't get a chance to reinvent myself.
You're stained in it.
That's
like,
it, I'm stained.
It's
like smoke damage.
It's
like you got that little something, you know, even if you clean it and there's a little bit of a...
the little smile.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I started to believe that that's who I was. I started to believe that, and then it affected the way that my relationship with my parents was. So, you know, my parents were so loving and nurturing, and then because of what was happening in school, that nurture became discipline. That nurture became, well, every time I'm coming into school, it's to tell you off for something. So we're gonna put you on punishment. You're gonna have this sanction in place. You're gonna get grounded for this.
In the home, at home,
because you're kind of, because you're thinking this is how I'm gonna discipline my child to be better, because my child's not listening. Like, we've provided everything that they need at home. Why is he misbehaving at school? Not understanding the dynamics. And now we look back as a family collectively, we can look and say, well, I understand why you did that, and I understand that you might have felt this way. You know, in hindsight, it's a beautiful thing, but at the time, you're just frustrated that this child that has everything is misbehaving. And so the dynamic just really started to get toxic at home, and especially with my mum, because my mum was basically like a stay-at-home mum for a lot of my life. And so everything that we did together. And so when, like, I'm looking at, just school isn't really a safe place where I'm happy. Home isn't really a safe place where I'm happy. I'm kind of building this reputation and this mindset that I'm the naughty kid. I haven't really got many friends, you know, and I'm just going very insular and really internal. And so by the time you transition into like a secondary school, for example, that's just embedded into your character.
That's you now.
That's me. That's me. And there's no... like, it's no longer a mask. The mask of, like, maybe you go to school and you start talking a certain way. Now that's your character. That's you. It's embedded. You don't know anything else other than wearing that mask. So, now that I've kind of, I guess, just been that person, obviously that's isolated me from certain people in my peer circle. And you're thinking, cool, you go into another secondary school, maybe you get to reinvent yourself. But most of the kids that went to my primary school, it was a boys' school I went to in Enfield, they all went to the same school.
Okay. You went to a completely different one.
No, I went to the same school as them. So it was like literally like a continuation.
Oh, right. Oh, so there was no real change.
There was no change.
You can't, right, I get it. So like, you can't even get into this new environment and become a new person because you're around the same people that
know you.
Yeah, so you got to keep that same character.
So even the friendship groups that you want to get into are still scattered with people that know you from primary school. So even if you're trying to be someone else, actually you're still seeing the same faces. And you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to be that person.
And on top of that, them same faces that you're meeting with are trying to judge you from who you was 4 years ago, innit?
Exactly. And so there was never a time where I felt like I was respected by my peers growing up. I can't think of a time where I authentically felt like even with friendships, like I struggled to make authentic friends. Like you'd bring someone to your yard, they'd see the way you live, yes auntie, yeah, oh what, like, you know, stay over, all that stuff. But in school, you know, they don't want to know you, or they're kind of snaking you or whatever. And there's nothing that I think that I could have done. I know it's part of my story and stuff, but there's nothing that I think I could have done differently, because all I was trying to do is adapt and survive, innit? And so it's only now in hindsight I look and say, well, maybe if I communicated, or maybe if I went to another school where kids were more like able to relate to like the lifestyle my family had and stuff like that, maybe it would have been different. But who knows, you know? So I think it's one of those things where actually one of the lessons that I've learned from that is when I go and do work in schools now is always to look out for the quiet kid. Is always to make sure if I'm in a room and there's loads of loud kids and that kid's there that's kind of not really saying that, and it's to give that him or her or whatever, to give them an opportunity to speak, to let them know that I've heard them. Because a lot of the time it's the quiet kid that we overlook because the louder kids are kind of, but that person could be struggling with so much. And because I've been there, I empathise with that. Do you get me?
Do you know what's mad though? Yeah, even on the opposite side, you see the loudest kid in the room. He could be going through a whole mad situation too. But he's just trying to be loud to try and mask it up. I reckon, looking back at it and being honest here, that was probably me. Like coming into school, I felt similar to you, where I feel like my peers just naturally aren't respecting me. But my approach was like, all right, I'm going to make you respect me. Do you get me? So I'm the loudest. Do you get me? Or I'm causing mayhem in the school. Do you get me? So that was my approach. When really and truly, I'm dealing with the same thing you done. I just went about it in a different way. Do you get me? So you got to look out for the loud ones too.
100%. I think generally schools have. I would like to say optimistically, I think schools have improved in terms of nurture, in terms of policies. Like I'm a governor of a school and a college now, so I'm really interested in like the well-being side of things and making sure that, you know, there's a real nurture culture here, because like children have adverse childhood experiences. It could be that your parents separated. It could be that there's been abuse in your home. It could be anything. And those are the things that we come into school. I always say when I go into school, everyone in this room is dealing with something. Your teacher's dealing with something, your brethren's dealing with something, and you know, we come and expect people just to kind of be able to operate, but you can't really leave it at the door. And so, yeah, I'm really interested now in the school system becoming a lot more nurturing and child friendly, where it's not about your behavior it's telegraphing something. It's trying to like, it's an indication of something. If I'm behaving in a certain way, I want something. I want attention. I haven't got something at home. I'm not heard. I don't feel seen. I don't feel safe.
Like cause and effect.
Exactly. And so it's about really trying to have that nurturing and trauma-informed approach when you're dealing with young people. And as you said, it's like not just the quiet kids, it's the loud kids. It's everybody that just needs to kind of have that bespoke mindset. Like teachers need to have a bespoke mindset about how they deal with them. So
real. Christian, what was you like in school?
I was kind of in the middle, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like I never really had no real issues. Everything was kind of blessed in it. So but I guess I did respond the same way you guys did, because how can I explain it? Like I had a lot of friends. Everything was fine. But then obviously I got loads of things going on at home.
Yeah, that people don't know about.
Everyone's in school learning this stuff. My mind is at home. Outside of school. So I kind of, that's how I separated myself from all of my peers in school. I felt like my mind is on some other stuff. I've got stuff going on outside.
Real. Deep, man.
What about you?
Me in school, I was just an angry black kid in school, man. I can't lie. There's always one in it. Like that was definitely me. But now with having this conversation, I've already been realised. But again, it's just reaffirming to me that it was an effect, because the cause was that obviously man had like abuse and shit going on in my house with like my parents and whatnot, and I wasn't really able to express how I felt or verbally express. So then I was trying to physically express and let it out in school by just getting into mad fights or just troubling people, being in mayhem, do you know what I mean? But it wasn't even that, it was genuinely who I was, but it's just because I had all this energy, I didn't have a release. So the only release I saw was school. Someone stepped on my foot, now I'm going to fight them and I have the mad, it's going to be a big piece of something when the thing they're doing to me is so minuscule, you know what I mean? But it's just that pent up energy, should I say, that has not been released, which has led me to do this thing. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I say, you see my clothing brand, TayTrendsetter. That's why I say it saved me, bro. Like it proper saved me, bro, because Like I was saying, I can't remember who I was speaking to the other day. Yeah, if I didn't start my clothing brand, I don't know what I'd be doing. Like serious, because the trajectory I was on was just nuts. I don't know what I was keeping up with,
bro.
And then shout out Mr. Laye, one of the only black teachers in my school,
Shout
just
out.
said to me, bro, like you're popular in your school, innit, but you're putting your popular self in the wrong environment, which is just causing bare mayhem. Do you get me? So start something. You're influential in your school and you can do something. So drop these jumpers now, and it's like. That's where my mind was. My mind wasn't on being bad no more, trying to be the coolest in school. It's like, cool, I'm coming to school and I'm trying to make money.
Yeah,
now.
you're leveraging that. And that's good. That's a good way to spend that energy. That's literally like me or fighting, like martial arts. So I started doing, my mum put me into kickboxing when I was 12 years old because I just kept getting into fights. And ever since then, like as you know me now, because touch every day, like that's just all I put my energy into. Yeah, so I've been doing martial arts for 8 years. Kickboxing for 7 years, Muay Thai for 1.5 years. But like that is like my form of discipline where I'm able to spend all that energy. Same with you and the brand, you know what I mean? And you need that, you know what I mean?
You need purpose, you need outlets,
you
need things that give you something to work on, that a reason to wake up every day when
real.
And to a certain extent a distraction, but it's a welcome distraction. It's one of those things that you're not distracting yourself and not making progress and staying in bad habits and stuff like that. Like you're very much like working on something that is goal orientated or purpose driven, or do you get me? It's something. And I just think that, for me, that's what I'm always trying to encourage. So even as I said to you off air, like I'm proud of you, and even hearing more about you, I'm proud of you as well. As someone that's slightly older, that's looking back, those choices are not easy to make. It's not easy to make that choice and be like actually, rather than me being on badness or whatever, I'm going to channel my energy into something that you're wearing now. Both of you, you're wearing your clothing brand. It was in your head years ago.
Shout out my boy, man. You know what I mean? It's cold. Come on, man. Real.
Man.
I got a question, spanner in the works.
Come on.
So we're talking about choices. We're talking about why it's important to make the right choice. So talking to old Amani, what led you to make the choice to go cunch?
I was groomed, bro. Bad friends, man. And I should have seen it, my bro.
But what is question? What is that? What do you mean by groomed? So like for me personally, I'll be real. Like obviously, man, know when I'm talking to certain people, go and cunch OT all these things. But what does that mean? What does that look like?
It means that an older person saw my vulnerability and took advantage of that. Someone saw that this kid ain't really of this life, and so I'm gonna hit him with something that he's only gonna say yes to.
It's irresistible.
Do you want to make some money?
Of course.
Am I gonna say I don't want to make money?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say He never told me the T's and C's of the arrangement. He never told me but you're gonna have to go and live in cunch and risk your freedom and work for me and all that. He never told me that.
Not even risk your freedom, risk your life.
Risk your life,
risk
bro.
Your life.
I was living in a crack house with this couple. I'm sleeping on their floor on a mattress. And I've got, crack cocaine hidden and heroin hidden behind this TV. And these man, if their head's not right or they haven't got their fix, they come in and they duppy me or they do something. Where's the drugs? Like I'm sleeping in it like a baby, bro. That's how vulnerable and innocent I am. Bro, I tell you, I had some of the best sleeps of my life in that trap house because I didn't know what I was on. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know the dangers. When I look back now and I'm like,
I had a proper sleep on that floor.
When I tell you, like good 7-8 hours sleep.
That's crazy.
Like, mad, out of the game. Anyway, I say all of that to say that, it was someone that I called a friend that again saw vulnerability in me, so I weren't really from that life, and was moving snaky from before that. But because of wanting to keep up, or you like his energy, or there's something in him that you want to emulate, I kind of just let it pass and. One day, like basically, okay, I'll give you more context. I was in care at this point.
Okay.
And I was in, man, I feel like all right, cool. Let me put it this way. So I've made a short film called Amani, which stars Javan Wade, which is all about my story. And it's one of those things that I'm really, really proud of. And some of the stuff that I talk about, I guess, that I'm talking about now are in that film. So if anyone wants to watch it,
go watch that, man.
Check it out. What's the name again, bro?
Amani. It's just my name.
Amani,
Amani.
Yeah, it'll be one of the first videos that come up there.
Cool.
And so I got arrested with an imitation firearm, which, again, going back, was because I robbed a kid outside of a school, and then his brother and his dad and that came to my house, and then I had an imitation firearm. And then I got caught with the imitation firearm outside my house. And my parents basically said, this is too much. You're 15, this is too much. You've got a little sister, you're bringing police, you've got firearms. You can't be here. And the option was for me to go and be in care for a bit. And so basically I was living in this like secure care home, and the only reason I didn't go to jail by God's grace was that I was 2 weeks too young. If I was 16 instead of 15, I was 15 in like X amount of weeks. My 16th birthday was a few weeks later. If I was 16, I'd have gone Feltham. And so
That's mad.
Yeah, bro.
And that would have been a different trajectory of your life.
2 weeks, bro.
That's mad.
The judge, I mean, like I've spoken to people since then. Some people say like maybe I would have done 3 years or whatever. But the judge was saying to me like, yeah, you'll do 7 years for an imitation firearm. Looks like a gun.
Swear
you
down.
know, 7 for like, because if I pulled it on someone and said, give me your thing. And so they put me in care, and then I'm around other kids that don't even have an essence of the fact that at least I know where my family is. My behavior is causing me to be away from them. But some of these kids are from so much broken environments. It's not even.
So just chiming in, my bad to interrupt. It's like at least when you was there, you had a good foundation, but it's like you're going into an environment where a lot of the people didn't have that good foundation 100%. To start with, innit?
And so I'm meeting people that are probably even seeing that. I remember I took this one kid to my house, and he must have been like, "What? You're in care, blood? And this is where you live?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
And you got a mum and dad?
Yeah.
And you're getting dinner, even though you don't live at home. You get like, whereas I'm going home, and it's mad. So I say all of that to say that, you know, again, I was probably just telegraphing vulnerability, and the guy just read it, and whoever he was associated with must have just probably said to him, yo, you know anyone that I can send cunch? And so he's not even positioned it to me that way. We've just been sitting bunning a zoo or whatever, and he's like, yo, you want to make some money? And I'm just like, yeah. And then he's like, cool, I'm gonna introduce you to someone. And I'm thinking, yeah, like, bro, like, it's a move, quick thing, whatever. And then the guys just said, yeah, cool, what you saying, my guy? Like, you know, that whole like big bro kind of I got your back type of thing. And he just said, yeah, pack your bag and come with me.
Swear down.
Literally,
like
didn't even tell you where you're going.
Swear to God.
Straight like that.
Swear to God.
So wait, when you said pack your bag, so you went back to the care home you were staying at.
Home,
you told them, listen, I'm going
I
out.
didn't tell them nothing, bro. Right. I went missing. So I nearly lost my placement there because they were going to try and put me in that independent living after like a certain amount of time. And so by the time I went to care, I was like, to cunch, I was backwards and forwards for like 4 months. And I guess at the time, maybe policies were different, but they weren't really checking on me. And it was kind of like I was slipping through the net. I'd be away for a few days, come back, sleep there for a night, then away for
that couldn't work, man.
And now it'd be different. Safeguarding, they've got a lot more
policies,
procedures. They understand what county lines is.
Because my mum fosters, innit? Like, that's what she's done my whole life. You get me? So I know that.
Big up mummy, man.
Big mum's up. Like, but right now, like, if one of the children went and done that and there's no. Like within a couple hours, you get me? Like there's no coming back and going, you get me?
But when I think about it, I was a young man, on the train in the same smelly tracksuit, going up and down I was in Peterborough, up and down to Peterborough on the train, like with no ticket.
Swear down.
I think I maybe bought a ticket once in the whole time I was going on the train line. And nobody checked to say like, what are you doing? Like, you know, why are you at a school? Like just sitting there and I, obviously now it's part of the work that I do in order to kind of help young people not to get exploited. And I got a short film called Save Me that's coming out soon. That's about exploitation as well that I've directed and written.
How can people tap into that?
When it comes out, you'll know.
Alright,
it's loud.
Sure.
It's very loud.
Right.
God's
Look
grace,
out for
man.
that one.
Yeah, Save Me. Starring A Smalls, YouTuber. So
okay, big.
And Litty Lights as well. So we're gonna do that.
Big,
but I say that to say that I didn't know. Like he didn't give me the breakdown of this is what, like literally I swear I was driving up the motorway, bunning weed, listening to Styles P.
How old?
16. So I remember spending my 16th birthday playing football, and then I must have gone a few weeks after.
So for context, this is like you said, probably 3-4 months after the whole imitation firearm and that.
Literally. So so this is context. I got kicked out of school 2000 and right, I'm gonna make you feel. Well, I'm gonna make myself feel old. When were you guys born?
Nah, don't worry.
I was about to say it. You saved me there.
I'm about to say it.
I was about to say it.
So I was in country in 2006.
Yeah,
2006. So when I was 16. So all of that is to say, as I said, that it was a different time, different environment. But I'm driving up to this place, and he's basically just smoking, talking, laughing, big bro things. It was him and one of his brethren in the car, and we've pulled up outside the yard, and he's just said, yeah, cool. So here's your phone, little trap phone, and gave me some rocks or whatever in like a little parcel bag, and was just like, yeah, like come, and just gave me like a whistle stop tour of what to do.
Yeah.
He introduced me to a couple young G's in the area that if something went down, like these are the man them that you should know. Like you're not up here like one up. These are the man them that live close to you and they've got like a little structure or whatever. And yeah, bro, like literally just like said, oh, these are the cats you're staying with. And I must have gone in and probably shook their hand or what, like just proper innocent, bro. Proper, not even realizing.
That's some shit I would have done.
not even realizing like actually, like this is a very dangerous situation. These men are probably taking over the yard. And you know what I mean? Like they're and it is what it is. Like no, in fact, I say that it's wrong, but it happened unfortunately. And I didn't realize
the extent of it. But you're a child at these times, innit?
Like, I'm not even from that environment. And so he just said, yeah, when someone calls you and they say, yeah, boom, I want this and I want that. I want 2 of this, I want 2 of that. You put it in your mouth or whatever in the back of your cheeks, and then just bare stuff. Like literally, I'm sitting here like, okay, cool, writing this down or thinking about it in my head. Told me where to park the food, and it was like a whistle top 101 on how to shot. I'd never shot it before that. And so then what started to happen was it was about survival. And I think a lot of the innate entrepreneurial like things that I have inside of me now, that's where it started, because you're then starting to be very hyper vigilant. You're then starting to, you know, work out about your money. You're then starting to just little things, talking to customers, relationships, dealing with inquiries, like, and I just did it for months and it just became a habit. And I probably wasn't the best. I'm not going to sit here and say that I worked and banged the line. Like I was probably just one of the workers, innit? And essentially for me, like I just didn't realize the extent of this culture of grooming and exploitation. Because fundamentally, if I'd got arrested, I'm not going to snitch on him. Even to this day, I'll never say his name. Do you know? Like, it's not up to. It's not. I'm not here to chat man's business, innit? Because that's not me. But
you're here to tell your story.
Like, I'm here to tell my story.
Do you still speak to him? Or you still
I don't know him like that.
Okay.
It's not even a thing.
Like,
it's just, it's one of those things where you're just like, at the time, someone probably did it to you, and you did it to me.
To them.
And
yeah.
it's
cycle.
But I have the ability to stop that for other people because of my story, because of my influence and the people and the work that I do and work with and stuff. So that's all I'm focused on. I can't look in the past and be angry about stuff. I can only look at how do I change it for those coming after. So I was just up there grinding, man, and just I remember actually in terms of like that transition to get into that, like I went and licked a shot in this park, and I remember I wasn't even really, I'd gone to church like my whole life and stuff, but at this point I remember not really even being close to God like that. I weren't talking to my family, no one really knew where I was. And I remember licking this shot and hearing very clearly, I'd just gone Tesco before, so I had my meal deal in like a Tesco bag on my handlebars. I remember hearing very, very clearly, don't put the drugs in your plastic bag, because someone had called me and said, I'll link me around the corner. Put it down your trousers. Very, very audibly inside of me, like an echoing sound, And I was like, huh? But anyway, that was like my first step of obedience when I really looked back. And I put it in my trousers, and I swear, no word of a lie, I put my foot on the pedal, and undercovers have come and grabbed my bike and said, someone matching your description is selling Class A drugs in the area. We're going to search you. And they've just battered me up, like thrown my Tesco bag on the floor, meal deal, what's in here? It's patted me down and whatever, but I haven't found nothing. And what you doing here? I see my grandma, all the kind of lies that you would say, right? Anyway, they let me go, and I remember riding back home, and for the first time probably acknowledging that I was actually scared, and I actually had fear in my life, and that this was something that I didn't actually want to do. Not just being on a conveyor belt of, yeah, you get me, man, just outside and like my parents, like, what do you want to do with money? And I think that was the start of the change, because it was the first time I took like ownership of my life. All the way through school, people telling me, Amani, turn your life around, do better in school, don't do this, stop lying, one ear out the other. And it's only when I was in that situation, which is why actually when I talk to my parents now and they say that they've got regrets, I'm like, you shouldn't regret anything, because that decision of letting me go and live in care can't have been an easy one, but it was one of the best decisions that was ever made, because it let me go and experience this thing that I'm touching and I'm feeling like I want that.
Yeah.
And I'm there like, no, I called my dad and I said, Dad, can you come and get me from Cunch?
Swear down.
I swear, my dad come and pick me up. I got a video of the apartment that I was in. I had my own flat at this point because I'd batted up the cats and stuff like that. Honestly, I'd batted them up like something had happened and I had to switch on them.
Yeah.
And so I was living on my own. And I remember just sitting there in my yard in this empty house and being like, I want to go home. And calling my dad and just having to tell him what was going on. And I remember he come from work and just come and pick me up and just picked up my stuff. Yeah, come pick me up from work after Peter. And that's when I knew, shout out Pops. And that's when I knew like that was the real role model that I've been looking for. And I know that not everyone has that relationship with their dad, but I would always say to young people that there's always someone that is willing to help, like a teacher, brethren, someone's mum, you know what I'm saying, cousin, whatever. There's some. It's just at that time, are you bold and brave enough to call them? And he came and got me. Real. And he it's first time in my life I ever really like I guess took in what he was saying. And I remember him just saying like, son, like you got so much potential, man. Like what are you doing? Like not even like I'm lecturing you. Yeah. Like
he's just confused.
I just like what's going on? And he was just like, if you're coming back home, like obviously you haven't lived at home for ages. So I didn't even go back to the care home after that.
Okay.
He was just like, you can come and live with us, but something has to change. That you can't keep going around this cycle. And I remember just being like, yeah, Dad, like I hear that. And so I went to a place. Do you guys remember Connections?
No.
Do you remember Connections? Yeah, Connections. So for those that don't know, Connections was like a high street, like careers advice type of space, right?
Okay.
That basically anyone could walk in there any time of day and there'd be careers advisors, youth workers or whatever in there. And so I remember walking into that in Enfield town and just saying like, yeah, like I wanna, like I ain't got no GCSEs. They were like, oh, what do you like doing? I was like, oh, I like music. And they're like, oh, there's this little vocational course that's going on, you can jump on in a few weeks time. And I went there, and by going to this course, similar to what you just said, it gave me a sense of purpose. I was rapping at the time. I liked rap, I liked grime, all that stuff. And I went there and the teacher was a black man. And I think that's significant because I was able to find a role model in him and he was able to relate to what was going on with me.
Yeah, that relatability.
Yeah. And he just said to me when I walked into the class, or after a while something was happening, he just basically said to me, look, I can see you're angry, but I don't care what anyone else has said about you prior to you walking into my classroom. I'm only going to take you on who you want to be from this moment going forward. And it's the first time in my 16 years that someone had given me a chance to reinvent myself. And from that point, I thrived. I just went and just did there.
I got to put the brakes on that, man.
Yeah, cool.
Fucking hell, bro. Firstly, just shit, bro. Fam, that is some. But I'm just listening to the story thinking shit, bro. Bro, I'm just listening to the story thinking, damn, this is some Shane and Sully thing, bro. This is crazy, bro. Like, bro, I'm just actually digesting this thing, innit? So, firstly, yeah, man's proud, innit? Like, that's real, bro. Like, that is some deep shit. I got a question for both of you, Tay and Christian, yeah? So, my question to Tay, firstly, yeah.
Chat to me.
How does that make you feel? So obviously, again, context here. Mine was just talking about his story, 16 sent to Cunch and all that stuff, yeah? How does that make you feel hearing about a young 16-year-old boy who's getting sent to Cunch and being groomed by an elder? For context now, yeah? Being real, everyone in this room, we all know someone who's in that side of life. We all know someone who's on the roads doing this, that, and the third, yeah? But again, I'm speaking for myself. You only know from they're just doing their thing. But I didn't know that. Do you know what I mean? You put pieces together, you can assume, we didn't know that. So where you may have friends, for example, not assuming nothing, who could be in that life, they could be the person sending a young person like Amani, 16-year-old. How does that make you feel? Even younger than that. How does that make you feel? A young black man.
Do you know what it is, yeah? And this might not even be the traditional answer that I would say, yeah, but sometimes they're not even conscious of what they're actually doing, you know. Do you get me? Like, as you said, they've gone through a similar cycle that you did. Like, they was that boy one time that got sent up to Cunch, and that's all they know. And they don't have home environments like me, you, where you've got a mum or at least a dad or like that family unit. So all they know is Cunch, do road, make money. Do you get me? So they're not really seeing what the effects of that actually are. But all I would say is just that break the cycle, bruv. Like, break the cycle. Like, you've been trapped in the cycle, but that doesn't mean you need to drag someone else into the cycle as well. And sometimes people are just
deep.
Do you know what it is? Money drives people to do mad things. You get me? Money drives people to do crazy things. So they're not even
poverty, bruv.
Money and poverty. 100. They're not even thinking yeah, Amani's gonna go cunch and he could die up there or he could get bagged up there. He's thinking, he's gonna go up there and make me some money now. Do you get me?
And if something happened to me, I'm replaceable.
Yeah,
Next day there's another young G that's just up there taking the line.
Yeah, I'll just say it to people, and it's mad to say this because money is important, but just know money isn't the end all and be all. Do you get me? So just know that and don't make permanent decisions, especially for other people, just for money. Do you know, in this day and age as well, yeah, I can't speak for all people on the road, but a lot of people, you can make more money working a 9 to 5 than 100%. You can on road. You get me?
You know they say the average drug dealer salary is £19,000.
Dead.
Bro, that's like...
So you're risking your life for that. For apprenticeship
course,
wage, bro.
Of course. I'm sure there's more people that make more money.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
But the risk, like, because you're not paying tax and you're not paying for all these other different things, there's so many other factors that we don't get going on a 9 to 5. Man coming to take your things. Yeah. Like, police, like, your brethrens, whatever.
Yeah.
So
my dad said the same thing.
When you weigh it all up, it outweighs the risk.
One time I was in the car with my dad, and my dad... He's always been like my mentor, innit? Like, he's always been that type of guy. So I was driving in the car with him one time, I'm sitting front, I'll never forget this day, innit? We're cutting through. And he's just talking about, like, road life, trap life, whatever the case may be. And there was probably about 10 people on the road, yeah? And he said, Tay, are these 10 people, how many people do you think take drugs? And I just looked about, scanned, I probably said maybe 1 or 2. And he said, Tay, how many people's wearing clothes? All of them's wearing clothes. And he said, all right, cool, which one's more profitable?
Real.
Like, all of these 10 men are wearing clothes.
Shout them out, man.
Do you get me? Shout out my pops.
Big up your dad, bro.
Yeah, big up my pops. He's saying, all of these 10 people are wearing clothes. Whether it's a hat, a scarf, a t-shirt, jacket, they're wearing clothes, yeah? 2 of them might be taking drugs. So which one can you make more money from? And then he broke it down deeper. He was like, all right, cool. Out of those 2 people, if you decide to go and cater for those 2 people, you got to hide from, you got to worry about police, you got to worry about ops, you got to worry about people taking your food. There's bad stress. When you're selling clothes, what are you stressing about? Do you get me? And then when he said that, I was like, yeah, because really and truly, it don't make that much sense. Do you get me when you think about it? And that kind of changed my perspective on this story. Yeah, no, he broke it down differently.
Shout him out, man. But that was a good answer, man. And I wanted to kind of just ask that question, like, all jokes aside, to just reflect on that. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like, again, we've had your stories very unique. We've got quite a few stories who've got some amazing things you can learn from them. But I think there's always a deeper lesson within that. Do you know what I mean? So that's real, man. I appreciate your answer, bro.
What do you think? I'm interested in.
I got another question for you as well, my bro. No, I'll let Amani go first.
Basically, obviously, Amani's my younger cousin.
Yeah.
I know his lifestyle. He knows my lifestyle.
Yeah.
He used to get grounded and whatnot.
Yeah.
Parents were sending him to my house.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Go live with Uncle Joe and see how it is down there.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll appreciate being up here. Yeah. So, you know, not everybody has that core upbringing what Amani has. So, at a certain stage, it clicked for him. Like, this is not for me. This is not the right way to go. But the majority of kids, black boys, they see that kind of cunch life as like, you have to live this way, or it's normal. They don't even think about it as deep because they don't know anything else. That's the saddest part about it for me. Like, so many kids are just going to be out there and they're just going to go down a path that they don't even see another way out.
Yeah.
You was very fortunate, but that's what's also a blessing, you know. You've seen your calling and you're using where you are, your stage in life right now, to kind of help those kids be able to see another way out and blah.
100%.
Yeah, no, that's big, man. That's big.
That's deep still. That's deep. Even for me, again, just reflecting, the biggest lesson I probably learned from your story just now is that even when all doors seem like they're closed off, either look inwards to yourself or to God or to a higher purpose, I think. Because I feel like the main thing that sticks out to me from what you said is that, again, with this being stabbed situation, again, if you being in cunch, etc., you had to just self-reflect and be like, like, this is just not my calling. And you just have to almost like, even though you know me, I'm spiritual, but let's put that to the side for 1 second. It's almost like you have to just let go and let God. Does that make sense?
100%.
Like, let God just kind of take control and be like, readjust you and recalibrate your life. Do you know what I mean? Rather than you trying to force it down this kind of 100%. Trajectory or route.
I feel like there's like when people talk about God, a lot of the time there's this whole thing about like him being an angry, like like essentially like the Old Testament God that's just vexed and starting wars and murdering people and destroying stuff. But I guess the essence of God that I tap into and I believe into is that good father, the father that just wants to see his youth do well. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, when you're talking about your dad there and you're talking about that guidance that he gave you, like he might let you go and do something in order to learn the lesson, but he's not going to let you go through it completely.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Do you get me? There's always going to be I got you. I just wanted to see how you would get on. And you didn't want to hear what I was saying.
Yeah.
So
if you don't hear, you must feel.
If you don't hear, you must feel. But equally, there's going to be a level of pain that I'm saving you from because I love you and I only want good things. And so, I think it's when I started to tap into that and realize that actually my creator only wants good things for me and only wants me to thrive and be useful, so that by the time I leave this earth and I get to the gates of heaven or whatever anyone believes, but I believe in the gates of heaven, right? I hear, well done, good and faithful servant. Well done. You did well with what I gave you, you know? Like couple skills, couple insights. You're resourceful. You made the world a better place in the time that you were alive. Cool. Come and rest until I give you your next mission. Do you get me?
Nah.
So I just that's what I'm on. Like I feel like each of these moments that I talk about, that's what has driven me, and so that's why it's part of my day-to-day life. I'm not sitting there to preach to nobody, right? It's not my role. Like, there's many preachers that are very charismatic and the music plays at a certain time and you're giving your life, you get me? I'm just here to live it and give an example. If someone says, why is your life like that? I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you unapologetically, but I'm not here to force you to do anything, because once you experience it, no one can't tell you nothing different.
100. Bro, your life's your testimony, innit? And actions always speak louder than words. There's only so many things you can say to someone. Do you get me? Someone looking at your story and seeing what you've done, that alone can change someone's mindset. Do you get me? So,
and that's a blessing. I'll be honest. Like I've still got young Amani in me that is still has elements of nervousness or self-doubt and stuff, and it's still new to me to have people celebrate me, like and be in rooms where it's default for people to come up and say, nah bro, I rate what you're doing, you know, can you take a picture of my son, can you do like, and you're like, oh my gosh, like
it's different.
Me? Like there's still that thing in my head, but I can see that, you know, being a beacon of light or reflecting light or being someone that tries to give hope, then people will gravitate to that and rate that. And I love that that's my reality. I love that that's who I am, and that I don't have to pretend to be that person. Like I'm this person, I'm talking to you on a podcast, but when I'm in private with my people, then I'm still encouraging. I'm still just trying to. This is the real you. It's the real me. So every room that I go into, I'm free. Whereas when I was growing up, like I was so trapped by what does a black boy do, or what do the man them think, or what does this person think, and that freedom I just want for everybody. And yes, there's an element of that, a very big element of that comes from my faith and my relationship with Christ. But yeah, I guess it's like, yeah, like just walking in my truth, like allows me to just do the most like audacious and free stuff, and it's just, I love it, man. I'm grateful, man. I can't lie.
What would you tell somebody out there who, let's say this guy was, you're not gonna bear his name, let's just call him Jack for the sake of this conversation.
His name's Jack, not
Jack. Shit. Yeah, let's say Jack now, the one who sent young Amani to cunch. What would you tell another Jack out there right now who's watching this, who is building a trap line, got a young G about to send UPSA, Scotland, this, that, and the third? What would you tell them based off your experiences?
I'm gonna be real, I don't know if there is anything I could tell that person.
Why?
Because I feel like they're in the stage where many of us have been, where it's just going to go in one ear and come out the other, because I'm profit driven and all I'm thinking about is my line. So the person I would want to talk to is the child, is the young person, because to a certain extent there's more influence there. Yeah. To be honest, the not even the bad mind in me, but the positive person in me would pray that elements outside of my control would cause man like Jack something to happen to him. So for example, the person I was working for went jail for something serious, and I was no longer his problem, and that was my option. That was my route out. Yeah. If someone had spoken to him and said, yo, leave my cousin alone, leave this person alone, whatever, maybe he would have done it, maybe he wouldn't. But the fact that I was no longer his problem and something way up the stream happened,
you're not even,
I'm not even,
I'm
little fish to him. Like he's dealing with X, and do you get me?
Yeah.
So I say all of that to say that it's at that point of intervention or reflection that I come in and do my best work with young people. When something's happened, their brethren's got stabbed, they've been stabbed, they've been bagged for something, they've been kicked out of school, they feel disappointed. That's where I love sitting down with young people and saying, so what, go on, what do you want to do now? Because you've got two options. And I think that's where I spend the most time. So I wouldn't really focus on talking to a jack, because life is going to catch up with them. And it's not a bad mind thing, it's just the way it is, isn't it? Like karma, other things, like whatever it is, it's just the way it's gonna go, innit? But for the young G that don't know no better, how can I help open his eyes and illuminate things for him so he can see, right, actually, this person is taking advantage.
And he's still got opportunity.
And I've still got opportunity. And
yeah.
I've got something that maybe if I tap into this a bit more, and of course, you know, it depends how deep they're in, but there are some young people that want that lifestyle more than the lifestyle is chasing them at the time, and they're doing it because of environment or influence or peers or whatever, and you know, at that time you're able to catch them at a tipping point in their life and give them some guidance and some encouragement and make them see that actually, yeah, bro, like your clothing line thing could bang more than the food thing, you know.
No, facts.
And then he says, actually, you know what, I hear that. And then he tests it himself, and you give him an opportunity, or you give him some structure or some coaching or whatever. And then before you know it, he takes it on himself. And then now he's sitting here with his clothing line. Him and his brethren are talking about his clothing line that's going on. That's what I live for. Whenever I meet young people in assembly, I'm always saying to them, just come and find me in the future when you're winning and you're doing what you're meant to be doing, because that's the payment. There's no money that I want right now, like that I want from helping you. I just want you to get to where you are and then pay it forward. Pay forward what someone did for me.
Real.
Pay it forward to someone else.
Yeah.
You get me? So
Big. Well, listen, man, learned a lot in this episode still. It's a banging episode, bro. Shout you out. Love for coming through, yeah. What we usually do, when we wrap up the episodes, yeah, we drop a gem, like a practical gem that the audience can take away. Do you get me? So what's one gem that you leave them with? Something practical that they can use in their day-to-day life starting from today.
I say this everywhere, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's important, is pray like it's up to God and work like it's up to you.
Big. Say that again.
Pray like it's up to God and work like it's up to you. I think you need to be tapped into a higher being, higher source than you, for that kind of, for the blueprint, for things that you can't even understand, that spiritual kind of cheat code, right? And that encouragement and all that stuff. But then the work has to be mixed with that. There's a lot of people that, like I always use the example, if I was running for a train and I was running late and I said, God, please, like, help, I need to catch this train, that's an important train, but I haven't run and forgot to brush my teeth and eating cereal in the car or whatever to catch the train, and I'm doing everything that I can to get there. Even if God slowed down and there was a delay at another station, I'm never ever gonna get that train. I still missed the train because I didn't do the work.
It's so like faith without works is dead.
Exactly. So for me, it's all about like really building on that relationship, you know. And everyone's on a different stage of their journey, but really building on that relationship and then putting in the work and being disciplined and being consistent and, you know, doing things that are gonna add value to their own lives and other people's lives. So that pray like it's up to God and work like it's up to you. 100%.
Big one. What about you? That's a big one to top.
Top that, man. Shit. Deeper one. What gem? Now you gotta come back to me, bro. I'm still thinking.
Well, boy, I made you go because I'm still thinking. You get me? What I say?
Shit.
Where
Got me speechless about
something similar to what you would say in it, like just in a different way. I'd say just pray. Do you get me? Whether you are actually religious or not, whether you believe in God, Allah, like you're spiritual, whatever the case may be, just take some time out. Whether it's like a week time, like just in the morning, pray to whoever you want to pray to. Do you get me? Just pray and just understand that you're not big enough for this. You're not built enough for this. Do you get me? Like you have to get it from a higher power. Do you get me? So I say just spend some time praying. Obviously, I know everyone's got different religious beliefs.
Can I challenge that slightly though? The only thing I say about prayer is you have to pray to good energy and good things, right? Because equally in that spiritual realm, there's a lot of things that sound good and sound like they got your best interest at heart, and it's darkness that's lying to you and telling you stuff to try and deviate you. So again, it's not to say that everyone's going to get it right every single time, but it's about trying to be supported in that reaching out to people that might be on a slightly further ahead journey than you that can help you with like maybe discerning certain things or praying with you or whatever. Because I think equally that, like we haven't really spoken about it, but a force that was constantly moving alongside this trajectory that I'm on was darkness, and it wanted to kill me, and it wanted me to get shift, and it wanted all of this stuff to happen, and it's sitting there brewing because I'm a champion. Do you get me? And nothing can't run around me. You get me? Because I'm prayed up and I'm close to my creator, and you get me? I've given my life to Christ, but that doesn't take away the fact that it's waiting at the door for me to slip. It's waiting at the door for me to look at someone and catch myself in a mad thing, or to get back into some of the bad habits. And as soon as I do that, it's like, cool, let's go.
Yeah, he's one.
Quick.
Yeah.
Say that the devil's like a roaming lion waiting at your door, waiting to pounce. So equally, when you're praying, just make sure that it's not, you're not letting in dark things, because it's very easy for those dark things to sound very, very good, and it's not in the long run. So yeah,
big gem. Finished off me, Dad. I ain't got nothing else to say. You get me? That's
real.
You get me?
Now that I had time to think,
Yeah.
I would say my gem of the day is a word to the wise is sufficient. So I learned this from Mike Rashid. I used to tap in with him heavy, big influencer fitness guy in America. But he says, and I like to live by this, that simply put, if somebody external to yourself, so it could be any of you three guys today, are giving me advice, if I am wise enough to take on the things you've said, for example, it's going to be sufficient enough to make a change and impact my life. So a literal example of that is Amani sat here for over an hour and just reeled out his whole life stories, the lessons he's learned. We chopped up back and forth. Let's not even say anyone in the room, if any of you guys watching this are wise enough to take on some of the lessons that we've discussed here, it will be sufficient enough to make an impact in your life. So simple, a word to the wise is sufficient, man.
That's amazing.
And I would also just like to end it by saying thank you so much for coming on the podcast, my bro. I first met you at the Gen Z event, and I'm going to keep bigging up them, because that has impacted me. Do you know what I mean? I honestly see you like a big brother. I know we chop it up outside of the podcast. So, you know what I mean? Your words are sufficient enough to impact and change my life. So I appreciate that, man. For real.
I love, and vice versa. I feel like I am in this space, and yes, there's a level of, okay, you're older, but I'm learning so much. Like, even just watching how you man were moving, like, as I said to you, I'm proud of you, because I've been your age, and I know that it's not easy to do this and to swim against the tide. And so there's no way that me as a 32-year-old can sit here and be like, yeah, you get me, like, I've got all the gems, I've got all the wisdom. As soon as I stop learning, I die. And I ain't trying to die yet. You get me? So yeah, thank you for inspiring me as well, and just for being you, because I'm looking at you as two young black men that, when my children come into the world, you're gonna be role models and examples for them. When we're looking at the young G's that are getting caught up on road and stuff, they can't say they don't have role models, because there's guys like you outside. You get me? And so just continue to build what you're doing, continue to do things with integrity, and fundamentally, like, with to whom much is given, much is expected. And so you can't let little bad habits and stuff. You got to be people of discipline and integrity, because you'll get the whole world because of your mindset and your ethic, but you can lose it very quickly if you let little things and you let the devil just wait at your door and wait for you to slip. You get me? So good luck, my brother.
Nah, real.
Love,
appreciate that, man.
Love.
Like the video and comment what you've learned below, man. For real, we're gonna tap in and respond.
And follow me up on Insta. There's more.
There's
lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, plug the shit, man.
Yeah, it's just my name, Amani Simpson, Amani.Simpson. There's lots more that have happened in my life, and I'll talk about it as life goes on, and just really on that entrepreneurial stuff and the creativity. But I think this is important to speak to people at maybe a particular stage in their life, and just try and give you a bit of hope that life can get better, man. And it's nicer on this side, trust me. So yeah, man.
Say no more.
Real.
Yeah.
Charged up, man.
Love. Yeah, bang.
Love.